All right, I got my guy, Topaz Adizes, founder of Skin Deep and the author of 12 Questions for Love, a guide to intimate conversations and deeper relationships. Topaz, welcome to the show, brother.
Joel, good to be here, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dude, excited to jump into things with you, especially because when I was reading through the book, I was just blown away because some of these questions I never heard of. And, you don't know this about me, but my marriage was on the brink of divorce 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And I went on a deep dive to learn how to fix it. And I have two kids. There was a lot on the line.
Yeah.
And asking powerful questions and some of the things that you outline in this book was part of that. It was part of it. And so I was just really excited to get you on the show and to learn more about why you even wrote this book in the first place. So let's just start there, the book and how this came about and your podcast and everything you're doing with your show. How did this, what made you so interested with this?
Well, for the last 12 years, I've been filming all kinds of conversations between pairs, over 1,250 of them, between lovers, exes, best friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, grandparents, grandchildren, the whole bit. And that's an honored position to be in because you get to witness these courageous conversations and intimate conversations. And where in life do you really get to see other people having these intimate conversations? You don't. It's not something that you really get to see. Maybe the intimate conversations you have with your partner, with your friends, and maybe your family, but not other communities. And that's really what this honored position is. And I've
Yeah.
learned a lot about how to have these cathartic conversations, these courageous conversations, these exploratory conversations. And I've learned, and what's the payoff? The payoff is deeper, more fulfilling, resilient relationships. And this last year of doing like 100 podcasts for the book, I've really learned, because when you make a book, you know, the book is a distillation of everything I've learned for doing this for the last 10, 11 years. What makes a quality question? How do you hold a quality space for inquiry that creates a safe space, albeit uncomfortable, because it's
Yeah.
where it's comfort where we grow. But in the podcast, I realized, because when you make a book, you don't get to see people reading the book really. But in the podcast, when I'm doing that, I'm really seeing where the value is. And that's in, how do you create the space for inquiry? What are the power dynamics involved in creating the space that makes people feel safe or uncomfortable or unsafe, comfortable? What is that about? And then also, what are the questions that you place in that space that make the space of discomfort and exploration and takes you and your relationship to another level or to another space that you haven't explored before? So that's kind of what I've come to, the journey that I'm in right now, is seeing that the power's in the question if it's held in the right space.
Yeah, 1,000%. I was just reflecting as you were talking. Chris Voss, the master FBI negotiator, right? If
Yeah.
everybody knows his book, Never Split the Difference, right? He talks about negotiation, but one of the things he always comes back to, he says, is tactical empathy, which is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, whether it's an argument or anything, and being really, really curious. And he said that was a really powerful skill for him when he was negotiating with some bad dudes, right? Holding hostages and stuff. And so it sounds like kind of like that's what you're saying too, right?
Well, yeah. I have 5 qualities of a well-constructed question, and one of them is making it unexpected. And unexpected is a double-edged sword. One side is, how much does earning money cost you? What is our favorite lie we love telling ourselves? What is the truth we hate telling ourselves? So like connecting these two disparate ideas so that your mind has to go find that thread, that narrative connection, and find the answer. Or the other side of the sword of making it unexpected is asking a question that puts you in someone else's shoes. So Joel, what do you think is the hardest thing being your friend? Okay,
Well,
you don't have to answer it.
no, I am gonna. You want me to answer it?
Yeah, go for it. Go. Yeah, but in order for you to answer it, you have to put yourself in your friend's shoes and look at yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the hardest thing is that I'm too busy. I'm too busy, and because I have too many projects, and I'm not present with them. I'm not focused. I don't make time for them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you could probably go 7 layers deep on me with just that. You would go, then you would ask, then from there you could ask like 7 more questions that just unpeel the onion, huh?
Right, but it's just one of the qualities of a quality, well constructed question is making it unexpected, such that people have to take a pause for a moment.
Yeah.
So they take a pause. They're trying to connect two disparate ideas, or see themselves or someone else from a different point of view than they normally see. Right?
I have a question for you. Just the way you put me on the spot, which was really good and made me, I had to pause as you saw. That was an organic response. I didn't have that like canned response
Right.
for you.
Exactly.
But can we get good at this the way you are? I'm just like noticing you've kind of distilled all this knowledge into these frameworks. Can I study and become a great questioner like you? Because that's powerful, whether you're a podcast host or really I'm thinking about it for my kids and my relationship with my wife.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. And that's why I find that the value that I'm offering in all these podcasts is that we're never really taught how to ask well constructed questions.
Yeah.
And all the power is in the question. We are so focused on the answer that we don't realize the answer is shaped by the question. So all the power is actually in the question. So you have two kids. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
It's 8:00 at night, and you go to your two kids and you go, kids, do you want to go to sleep? That question shapes two possible answers, yes or no. Okay, and you know and I know that the answer is no.
Yeah.
But change the question. Kids, do you want to sleep on the couch or on the bed? Now saying no is not an option. The question shapes the possible answers. Okay, you're looking for a new career. I have a friend who's a filmmaker for 20 years. He moved to Austin. He had 3 daughters, and now he's like, okay, I can't do this kind of feast or famine lifestyle as a filmmaker. I need to change it up. I need to do something consistent. Construction, development. Okay, good. Prefab construction. The question he asked himself, who can I get to pay me to learn this new industry?
Ooh.
Now, that's a great question because most of us would say, how am I going to learn this new industry? I'll go. So then the answers are, well, you're going to go intern. I'm going to go do this. Okay, I'm basically going to have to like bite the bullet for a few years to learn. And he just changed the question. He goes, who can I get to pay me so I learn this industry? He's a filmmaker. He's like, okay, basically I'll be a head of marketing or make content and I'll learn that way, but they're paying me. The question shapes the answers. And we are so trained on the answers all the time that we don't realize all the power is in the question. And yet we don't know how to construct a well question. And that's what I'm, just by virtue of testing for the last 10, 11, 12 years with over 1,250 pairs, how to construct good questions.
I love that. And also having done sales for a lot of my life, they always say whoever's asking the best questions is like actually controlling the sale. And if you teach people, or like I'm a great, I love to teach people and share my knowledge with them. But if you're trying to sell somebody something, it doesn't matter how much knowledge necessarily it's about getting them to tell you what they want based on the powerful questions, right?
Right.
So
right.
So if you're trying to enroll or influence your family, one of the big things I talk about is leadership and in men in our families. And I love what you're saying, because one of my big ethos is marriage and fatherhood is a skill. And most of us, like you just said, weren't taught. I wasn't taught this. I learned from my dad, and guess what? He got a divorce when I was 18. My parents got divorced. Is that the best person I should be studying? And no knock on my dad, just saying like,
sure,
that's how we learn. That's like my model of reality. And I didn't learn these things. And so what you're saying is, no, it's a skill, brother. You got to develop it.
Man, I got goosebumps right now because what you said, fatherhood and parenting, is that what you said?
Marriage and fatherhood is a skill. To be a good husband, to be a good father, it's a skill. You have to work at it.
I'm in it right now, especially the fatherhood one, for sure. We also don't learn how to have good conversations. We model it. Just like we don't know how to be a good father or marriage, we model it. We model it from our family and maybe our friend group. But maybe that is based on your proximity. What family did you happen to be born into? Where were you, what high school or what community were you in so that you had this friend group and that's what you modeled? What you're modeling is not necessarily the best option out there. And now, because we have the internet, because we have podcasts, because you can go and you can find that book, you can find that thing, you go, I'm going to model this. Why? Because it works better, because it gets me the experiences I want to have, because it offers the values that I espouse, right? So I'm with you on that. I think it is a practice, and I just think that's a great understanding, because then it takes off the pressure of, well, I got to be the perfect dad, I got to be the perfect husband. It's like, no, this is a practice. Do you have the tools to practice it? Which tools are you utilizing? And I think that's a great lens by which to look through it. And I offer that in the lens of through the subject of conversation. How do you practice great conversation? Create the space and ask well constructed questions.
Okay. Is and so and in your book you teach that powerful framework that you were just talking
Absolutely.
about. Okay.
So there's the book is experiential book. It's like, here's the 12 questions. You could start the book by just, you know what? Let's just first, you take the book, you go to your wife. We're going to sit down. We're going to have it on our next day night. We're just going to go through these 12 questions and you're going to have an incredible experience. Believe me, you're going to have an incredible experience. You're like, holy moly, why did that work? Now you can read now you can read the book. Why did that work? Why? Because now I know why it worked. And now I know how to that skill set of the experience that we created. I can create that not just with my wife, but with my friends, my family, my coworkers.
Is that
Right?
the most powerful lesson that you learned after 1,200 plus interviews and deep conversations? Was that it? The power of constructing good questions, or was there something else?
It's two things. It's, well, the question is huge, and it's also the space it's held in. You can't, if you come home tonight and you tell your wife all the reasons why you love her out of the blue, she's not receiving your love. She's wondering, why the bloody hell is Joel coming home? What did he do? Or, if you come home tonight and she goes, as soon as you walk in the door, Joel, why do you love me? You're not wondering why you love your wife. You're wondering what the hell happened while I was gone, that she's wondering what is this? Now, if we create the space, so we have our card games. You pull out the card games. We have 15 editions. You pull out the couples. One of them comes out. You play, hey, babe, we're going to play this game. She randomly pulls out the question, why do you love me? Now you know why she's asking. The context is created. We're playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
So your mind is not wondering, why she asked me this question? Oh, I know the answer to the question. Now I get to actually give. Now you're going to go and tell her all the reasons why you love her. So she, on the same hand, she's not wondering why you're telling her why you love her. We're playing a game. I randomly ask this question, why do you love me? Or we play the book, and the last question of the book, number 12, is why do you love me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're having experience. Now the context creates the space telling you both what is permissible behavior, what is expected of you, what's expected of her. And in that space, we answer questions such that we can experience what we're sharing. We can give and we can receive. And like a take home value here, just if you're listening, you're like, what is this guy talking about? It's like, look, you don't sleep in the kitchen and you don't cook in the bedroom. You do certain things in certain spaces. What are you doing in the home of your relationship? When you go on date night, what are you doing in that space? What you're having certain conversations in certain spaces. Create the space, and then we know what we're talking about there. Then we can really be in it.
I love that.
Create the space, and then when you're in space, okay, I go on date night. We had to create the space. Great. What are we doing on date night? Are we having the same conversation in the same restaurant every time? That's not growing our relationship. We need to change it up. Ask different questions. Ask well-constructed questions. That creates a new experience for you, right?
Yeah. Topaz, a quick question. Do you have a favorite chapter or favorite question that you like to ask?
Well,
I know I'm pinning you down there, but
like,
I'm just
no,
curious.
okay, you're wondering like, what's the, like, look, there's the questions and then there's the sequence of questions. It's a 5-act structure. So there's 12 questions. The climax will be question number 7, which is, what is the pain in me you wish you could heal and why? What is the pain in me you wish you could heal and why? And what's great about this book is, like, look, we have over 1,250 pairs having this conversation. That's all on YouTube. So there are QR codes in the book throughout where you can see other people answering these questions and having their moments.
I love that.
Right? But that is climax. That's like a really vulnerable question to ask and to share. And, the next one, number 8, is, what's one experience you wish we never had and why? So it goes from the individual to the collective, and then, now that we just did a production in New York, and now, whenever we do a production, people fly in across the country. We don't pay anyone to be on the end. I think that people just want to participate at this point because they're fans and they know the value of it. And there's a question that goes, how many ands have you seen? And if they're like tons, all of them, and you're like, oh my God, I got to come up with new questions. So like a new question I'm playing with now that is just, I think is wonderful is What's the special thing in me that enables the beautiful thing in you?
Ooh.
What's the special? So you go home tonight and you ask your wife, you say, hey, I had the podcast. So you create the space with this guy. He asked, and he had this question. It was cool. What's the special thing in me that enables the beautiful thing in you? And you see, our mind takes a pause. It's got our mind, it's like a solution solver. It's a faithful dog that will chase any stick you throw. So the questions you create are the where you're throwing the stick. So if you ask that question, your mind will find an answer. And by finding the answer, it will illuminate your special connection with your partner. What's the special thing in me that enables the beautiful thing in you? And by
Yeah.
doing that, you are threading and illuminating that connection between you and your partner that maybe you don't talk about much.
I love that. That is such a good one. I love it, and I love that you're sharing some of your new secret sauce, some of the things that you're playing with, and just what you're seeing from some of the reactions and stuff that you're getting either from your wife and just people that you're in contact with. I was going to ask you, you we're in this digital age where we're more connected than ever, but actually we're the fact of the matter is we're lonelier than ever.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen in that with that kind of that idea, and are people resonating when you start to ask these? Could asking questions, better questions, be like an out? Do you think people are just afraid of getting out there because they don't know how to ask these powerful, deep questions, or they're afraid of their own intimacy? I mean, it's obviously multifaceted, but we're entering this age where we're just, again, we're all on our phones. No one's present. No one's even look. Does that worry you? And I feel like here's a gateway out of it right here.
I look, fundamentally, why do it? The payoff. The payoff. And you're like, well, what's the payoff? It's going to be uncomfortable. The payoff is that much more joy. The payoff is feeling that much more alive. And you're thinking, what is this guy talking about? He's crazy. I have a conversation with my wife. It's horrible. I don't want to even talk about it. Or my mom, I don't want to talk about it. Was hold on a sec. All right, go back to the last time you had a disagreement with your wife or your mom, and you actually went through and talked about it. What happened on the other side of that? What happened on the other side of that was that you felt more fulfilled in your connection to them. You felt more resilient. You're like, just think about when you have a makeup sex or a makeup convo where you're like, okay, we had a disagreement, but actually our trust and our resolve in our relationship with one another has increased because we went through that storm, right? And that's where the payoff is. Esther Perel has her line where she says, Esther Perel is the therapist and best-selling author, Mating in Captivity and State of Affairs. And she says that the quality of your life is commensurate to the quality of your relationships. So the richer your quality of relationships, the richer your life. Okay, if we're going to buy that, cool. Well, how do you have more quality relationships? Well, one way is you have better conversations. You have we are humans. We have the ability to take emotion and thought and put it into words and share that and reflect. It's a unique human ability. So we have quality conversations. Great. Okay, I buy that. Well, then how do we have quality conversations? Aha. You create the space, well-constructed questions. And for me, the hesitance to actually, have these conversations, to explore that is the payoff. You don't see the payoff. You feel
Yeah.
there's more discomfort. Therefore, you don't step into it because you don't see enough leverage for the payoff. So there's either two things. You don't see the payoff, or look, you're just going to wait in the discomfort, and the discomfort until it becomes so uncomfortable and so painful that you're forced to have the conversation. So if you look at a marital relationship, all right, you don't have the conversation for years. Next thing you know, one of you is getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
That's painful, right? So we have to be aware that if we don't deal with the discomfort now, the discomfort will only grow to the point that it becomes really painful. Or the flip side is, hey, I just want a deeper, more meaningful, more resilient, more fulfilling relationship. How do I do that? Have more quality questions. Have more quality conversations by creating quality space with quality, well-constructed questions.
So good. Or on that note, I'm big into habits. and having rituals, because that helps me reinforce it, right?
Yeah.
And as a dad, and you have a busy life too, and being an entrepreneur and stuff, things go to the wayside. So having me good constructed habits, so I can get into these conversations with my kiddos and my wife, is really important. Do you have any like daily habits or non-negotiables that you do so you're always creating these powerful, rich conversations?
Okay. I try. So when we get home, the first thing that goes into this special box that we created as a family are the phones. So the phones go into the box that everyone knows. My kids are 5 and 2, and they go in from we get home at 6. They go until basically the kids go to sleep 8:30. Right?
Love that.
Both me and my wife. The first 2 hours in the day when we wake up and we're like morning exercise or just whatever, getting dressed and food and the phones are still there. So the kids know that's where the phones live between those hours. And what's great is that when the kids are 16 or whatever, and they have the phones, they know that's where the phone goes, and that conversation doesn't be had because we've been doing it.
Yeah,
That's one. The other thing
I
is
love that.
whenever the four of us are together, I'm always clear that I say magic time. Like this is magic time. Like even if it's like four of us taking a shower or like in the car together, whenever the four of us, which is our family unit, our small family unit, I like call it magic time, and I do a magic time, and I'm sure my kids get annoyed by it, or soon they will, but it's like, this is magic time. And then whenever we watch the sunset together, it's super magic time. So I try to, now obviously it doesn't happen every night. God knows I'm trying to like run upstairs and watch the sunset. My wife's like, we're still eating dinner, no, but I try to install that. And obviously I agree with you about habits, because it's like we talk about big picture, like what small thing can I do every day to just slowly get me closer, that puts me in line for that trajectory. I think that's a wonderful way to see it. What do you have? What do you do to like keep it connected with your busy? What actually works for you? Has anything worked for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you mine. I just want to be clear. Magic time is. I just want. What's happening during magic time? Is that like
Magic time is just when the four of us are together.
Oh, okay,
My
okay,
wife and my two kids.
gotcha. Okay, I thought maybe there was some silly dance or something you guys do.
No,
Is
no,
that
no.
like,
I mean,
yeah.
I do it to like make sure they get it. But it could be where if
You're
the
creating
four
the
of us,
space is what you're doing. It's an anchor for creating the space.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like if we happen, I just remind them, hey, this is magic time. Like we are all together.
yeah.
Whenever the four of us are together, it's like magic, because we're not. One's running over there, one's over here at school, and I'm at work, and my wife is there. But when we're all together, it's like, hey, reminder, this is magic time.
I love that. I love that. That's so cool. Okay, you asked me what are some of the
Yeah,
things I do.
yeah.
So 10 minutes every day with each kid individually. Now I have my
Ooh,
two boys, so I only have the two, which is I'm lucky. So as you know, as dads, everyone's like, yeah, no, I spend time with my kids. I'm like, no, I get it. I do too, but usually it's as a group. And I've noticed they each need their own individual time. So we have special time, 10 minutes. It's a minimum of 10 minutes. It could go longer, but people think, 10 minutes is not that much. But when you compound 10 minutes over a
yeah.
year or a lifetime, it actually adds up, and it's something they look forward to. And it's a game. They can do whatever they want. They get to pick it. If it's something I hate, Dad, we're going to dress up. Great. I can't stand it, but it's only for 10 minutes. So I can do that. I know I can last.
And is that like in the evening or in the morning, or is that the same time every day roughly, or what? When is
Probably
that?
it'd be smarter for me to do that, to time it based to anchor that habit like immediately, like every day. I don't honestly do that.
Whenever you get.
I've been doing it for so long that I'm able to kind of free flow through it. But normally I would say it's like at the end of my day, like I'm exiting my office, kind of like, we're shutting down like the phones and stuff. Okay, well it's my time to connect with them. I have to see what are they doing. And like,
Yeah.
hey, you guys, does anybody, usually we'll do like a group thing together, a pillow fight or something, whatever they want. And then that's when I'll ask like, hey, all right,
That's
which one of
key.
you wants special time? So that's really been key. Doing weekly dates with I pick one family member each week, doing a weekly date. And that's always been really good. Something new I'll tell you that I've been implementing that I learned from this therapist actually on my podcast. I thought it was really good. She wrote this book called The Infidelity Cure. And she talked about infidelity and why it happens and yada, yada. But one of the things she told me, I always do a weekly spousal check-in with my wife and my kids. We have like our weekly meetings. But one of the things she told me that I thought was really interesting is she does a daily check-in with her husband. And she says, there's 3 things that we share with each other. And at the end of each night, we share two things that we're grateful for just for the day, like two
Yeah.
wins or things that we had. And then the third thing we share is something about that other, it has to be about that other person. So like, I was really grateful that it has to be about your spouse,
But it's
right?
gratitude. It's three things of gratitude.
Three things. Yeah. And what I found, Topaz, because I have my own gratitude journal and I do
Yeah.
that. But what I've noticed is, again, lately by doing that habit, it's been really cool because, again, sometimes my wife and I, at the end of the day, it's like we're both just zonked
Yeah.
and
Totally.
nobody wants to cuddle. Nobody wants to, it's just like, good night, see you later. But now having that ritual in place where we have those three questions, it's so interesting and beautiful to see what the other person's, that there's so much good happened in their day. And that you, as you know, you could go the whole day where my wife and I are in the house, but we don't
Yeah.
really even talk because it's just, I'm
Sure.
doing this, I take care of the kids, and then
Yeah.
at night. So having that little time where we make sure we get to those three things, you actually get a lot of information from each other.
How long have you been doing that?
Just recently, I just
Like,
started that like a month or two. That's been new.
and it hasn't become repetitive and kind of like just another, like, how do you stay grounded in making that real and not just some like, okay, I'm just going to get through it. You know what I mean? Like how,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because
here's
it's
the
the same
thing.
questions every time. So you know it. So you just kind of like, it does, because my concern there is it doesn't create the pause. You're not searching as much. You have to, what am I grateful for? If it's the same question, 1, 2, 3 months, you have to be that much more conscientious and seriously really asking that question
Yep.
to find the thing you're grateful for. And I think that just takes more commitment. So have you found yourself, has that commitment started to wane or not? It sounds like not. It sounds like you're still in it.
You know what? Maybe because it's so novel and new.
Right.
I'm still, it does force me to reflect on the day
Yeah.
because usually I'll do like a morning ritual of gratitude, but by the end of the day, I'm like, there's nothing I'm grateful for. So it actually, I do pause. I do pause. And so does she. Like
Nice.
she has to think. So, and then I will say
Nice.
this, sometimes again, I have to pause to think what I'm grateful for about my spouse because especially if there was very little connection that day. So it's still been new, but I agree with you. I could see where there could be, it could run out. It's something new that I'm experimenting with because you did ask me, what's been working. So that's what I'll
Right.
say. It's been interesting because that's not something that we were doing before. A weekly check-in, yes, not a daily. And so I think it's just a
Mhm.
nice way of building in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I agree with what
Awesome.
you're saying about you might, like you said, it will lose its value, especially because the question is not that powerful. After a while, it's like, yeah,
I just think we're creatures of comfort.
Yep.
So if we ask the same question, it just becomes repetitive, and then you stop giving it you stop applying the curiosity to that question because you've been asking it and answering it for so long. It's kind of like in the neural pathway. It's just that path is so well treaded that you
Yeah.
no longer are discovering something new. And so whenever you have a new question, it does create that pause, right? And I'm not saying that asking the question of gratitude does not create when you drop into it. You have to be that much more conscientious to really drop into it. And
Yeah.
maybe in that sense, it's a better practice. Great.
Yeah. Or again, busting out a deck of cards like you have and
Yeah.
asking new one. And I do that. We have different cards at the household and stuff, and we'll do that occasionally. So, yeah, love that. I wanted to ask you, my wife hates small talk. She can't stand it. She can't stand it. She goes, Joel, you're so good at it. You like love it. I'm like, yeah, because I don't know who I'm gonna meet and at a party or whoever. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do you do? Sometimes it works out. It doesn't. I don't learn anything about the people and they're boring, but not always. She hates it. Is there a way where we could reframe that for those people that hate small talk, that they could turn small talk into like a life-changing conversation?
Well, I think isn't that what your wife wants? She doesn't want the small talk. She wants a life changing conversation, right?
Yeah. That's why
So
she
you,
hates small talk. She thinks it's stupid and waste of her time. She wants to go deep.
yeah, I think she would love our card games. Again, we're creatures of comfort, so we do small talk because it makes us feel comfortable, right? But then again, comfort is not necessarily one of growth. It's discomfort because you're exploring
Yeah.
something new, or akin to like why is curiosity such a big word everyone talks about? It's because curiosity means you actually don't know what the answer is. You're actually exploring, and it's much funner to be an adventurer exploring something than someone who's been doing the same thing over and over again. I think small talk gives us a sense of camaraderie and a sense of being in the tribe, right? And there's a sense of like coherence in that gives us comfort and an understanding and a feeling of belonging. But I also think that if we can step deeper into deeper questions. But the question is, we don't know how to do that. It's like, so next time you do small talk, you can ask someone, what do you do with your most valuable time? As a father, like
Ooh.
your most valuable time, Joel, might be like the 15 minutes and between the kids go to, or the hour between the kids go to bed and you go to bed. What are you doing with that most valuable time? Because that's your most valuable time, or
Mm.
maybe it's 20 minutes before everyone wakes up in the morning. What are you doing with that time? Asking a question like that, or like, what happened last year that totally surprised you and scared the shit out of you, right?
Such a good question.
Just things that are unexpected, I think, help people. But then again, you might be at a party and like you don't want to ask a deep question because the trust hasn't been earned, which is part of the context. Who are you to ask me these questions? Where's that space? So I
Right.
think that's why I bet your wife is at a party. She doesn't talk to everyone, but I bet once in a while she'll find someone and she'll have an epic convo, and then they have a relationship that's deeper, right? In some sense, she'll
Yeah.
find one or two people who like. I remember meeting an introvert once after playing the and he said, "Oh, I get it. I'm not. It's not that I don't like talking to people. It's that I don't like the small talk. I like the deeper talk."
Yeah.
So I thought I was an introvert where I just get the energy from myself. No, it's just that I get the energy from deeper conversations with people, which
That's
happens
exactly
less
where she's
often.
at. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
just think so. I guess yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. What, here's a good one for you. Arguments. What do you think
Yeah.
is, what's the one question that you should ask before every argument?
During the argument, a powerful question to ask is, "Play it back for me." So, like, you have
Oh,
disagreement with your wife,
yeah.
and you're in it. You're saying something, and she goes, "Well, this is." It's like, okay, wait, stop. Just play it back for me. Like before we even go to our disagreement, because oftentimes what we're fighting about is not about being right. We think we're fighting to be right. We're fighting to be heard. We're fighting to be heard. And sometimes, you've heard this thing of like, why do couples yell at each other? Because they're so far away from each other.
Hmm.
So what if we whispered, even though we disagreed? It would bring us closer and remind us that we're close. So asking someone to play it back is an opportunity for you to know you've been heard. And then we can continue on. Right. But if you and I are in disagreement and like we're going at it, and I could feel the rising tension in me, like, God, this guy doesn't get it. Or you're like, this schmuck, he's, da da da, whatever. Okay, wait, play it back for me. What I'm saying, can you play it back? And then you go, okay, this is what I hear you saying. Bada, 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 bada. Now, maybe indeed you play it back exactly how I said it. And you're like, you know what, Joel, you heard me. Thank you, man. You heard me. You got me. And then you go, now I heard you, right? I know that you heard me. Yeah, and Topaz says, I know you heard me, Joel. Then Joel says, well, let me tell you what I think. And you totally disagree with me. Okay. But I know I've been seen. I know I've been heard. And oftentimes, like I said, we are fighting to be heard, not to be right. And so our
Yeah.
physiology, when we've been heard, relaxes because I know I've been seen, right? And then I get a better sense that, hey, you know what? In some sense, we're on the same page, on the same journey with different opinions and different ideas for how to solve it. But that person heard me and saw me and got me. And so play it back. And I think when you play it back to someone, so let's say we're in a conversation and Joel, you say, Topaz, play it back for me. So I play it back to you. Now you have three options. First option is, Topaz, that's exactly what I said. Thanks you got me. Yep, that's what I meant. Option number two is you got to be honest and be like, Topaz, that's not what I meant, man. You're missing the nuance. Let me say it
Mm.
again. So you say it again, and we stay in this loop until I play it back to the point that you're like, yep, you got it. Right? Because how often are we in conversations when people play it back, or like you're telling a story and someone jumps in with excitement and goes, yeah, it's kind of like this and that. And you're like, you in your mind go, that's not what I'm talking. But you keep going anyways because you don't want to be rude to tell them no. With all their excitement, you don't want to be like, no, that's not what I mean. But we do that. So then we end up in two separate places, especially when there's a conflict. If we have to acknowledge that, like, you are hearing me or you're not hearing me. And let's be that loop until it's been heard. And then okay. And the third option is you go, you know what? Now that you play it back for me, Now that I heard it in that way, I don't think that anymore because I realize I'm missing this or I'm missing that. And that is an incredible tool. It's called creative listening. It's not active listening, it's creative listening.
Mhm.
You're actually play back for the person what they're saying. That person acknowledges or make sure that acknowledges when indeed you did hear them play it back, or if hearing it, they change their mind. And then we move on to the next step. Now that I've heard you, this is what I think. Okay. And so what that does is that what happens then is that we move forward together. And that's what's important in the scope of relationship and disagreement, in my
That's so
opinion.
good. Yeah. Love that. That is such a good tactical tool. I know we have to wrap things up here in a little bit. You have a hard stop as well as I. I wanted to ask you just one quick question, then give a little call to action at the end here. But as a father, are there any, I know your boy, actually, are they, you have two boys?
I have one boy and one girl.
Okay.
A 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl.
So as a father, are there any questions that you've played with, or kids are just so, I feel like as
Oh,
adults, we start to shut off that fun, creative, let go kind of mentality. And I'm sure you're seeing that through your work and now how to bring that in as a father. It's tough. What are some of the things that you've been doing, or are there any questions that you've been asking that you've been getting powerful responses from the kiddos? And obviously they're young, so it's just an N of one, but yeah, what do you think?
it's one of the things I'm struggling with as a father is that conscientiously I know, like conceptually, what to do, but I don't bring it to action as much as I was like as a father.
Mm,
I don't bring that conscientiously and that curiosity and those questions to my kids nearly as much as I would like, or as that I know I could, knowing what I know. And that there's a disparity between like what I know I could be and what I'm enacting, and that's painful. So I'm working on that.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, it's tough. I know, I know I'm the same way. My wife would be like, you ask all these questions on the podcast, but what about our kids? Right. But
Yeah.
you've obviously have some good tools,
I mean,
and your
I do. I have
foundation
a kids
tools.
edition. I have a dick for kids, 8 to 12-year-old to play with, like kids to play amongst themselves or kids to play with their parents. To kids edition. Who do you think has a harder job, you or me, mom or dad, or kid or mom or parent? When was the last time you were nice to someone, and how did it make you feel? When was the last time you saw me be nice to someone, and how did it make you feel? You
Oh,
know,
those are good ones.
what do you think is the fundamental value that holds our family together, and why? And when was the last time you saw it? You know,
Wow.
right?
Deep.
I think it's all in the kids edition. I think, yeah. Again, like
Roll that
you
out
ask,
every day.
huh?
I
Yeah,
said, roll that out every day. Those are some really good questions.
right. And then like our mind will go search that answer, and if we don't find an answer now, we're gonna go create the answer so that we can answer it in that way the next time it's asked,
Yeah.
and that way we shape our behavior, and that way we shape our future.
Yep. Yep. Love that. Topaz, give a little call to this was so good. This was so good. I would love to interview you again, and maybe have you back on a little bit later at
For
another
sure.
time. I know you're a busy guy. Where can people learn more about all the cool things that you're up to? And is there a way to connect with you on social, or is it just better to go to the website, get the book? Like, kind of let us
Yeah.
know.
The book is available everywhere and anywhere, Amazon, ebooks, audiobook, all of it. And then theskindeep.com is where we have all of our products. And also on Amazon, we have all of our products. But theskindeep.com is a great place to follow us and email newsletter and products. And then also all socials is The Skin Deep. The Skin Deep. And then obviously my personal site is topazadizes.com. But that's really all my effort, all my energy is at theskindeep.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome stuff, brother. Love what you're doing. Thanks for just sharing your curiosity and your questions with us. This is super impactful. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you, Joel. Thanks for having me.